Some survival tricks don't come wrapped in modern fabric or polished with brand new science. Some were born out of raw necessity, under a sky filled with tracer fire and a winter that didn't care who it swallowed. And one of the greatest cold-defeating secrets of World War II didn't come from fancy gear. It came from something far simpler, almost primitive, but so effective that even today's ultralight sleeping bags struggle to compete with it. This is a trick forged by soldiers who couldn't afford to lose body heat. A trick refined in frozen forests, trench-scarred fields and mountain passes where even breath seemed to freeze mid-air. And the beauty of it? Anyone could use it. No special equipment, no technical background. Just pure survival instinct sharpened by the world's most unforgiving classroom. Let's break down the World War II method that kept men alive when temperatures dipped into the kind of cold that doesn't just bite, it hunts. Right, so here's the real secret behind staying warm when it mattered most. Here's the truth many modern survival guides gloss over. Soldiers didn't depend on sleeping bags the way we romanticize today. Sleeping bags were heavy, they soaked up moisture like a sponge, and in active combat zones they were dangerous because, well, unrolling one made you just too slow to move if the enemy attacked. So they relied on something far more adaptable. Insulation they built themselves using earth foliage and their own body heat. This wasn't just a trick, it was a system, one that exploited nature's own physics to trap heat better than any military-issue sleeping bag of the era. The heart of the method was simple. Create a cocoon of trapped air around the body and let nature do the insulating. And that meant one thing, the ground bed. In World War II, soldiers quickly discovered what every seasoned outdoorsman eventually learns. Your biggest enemy isn't the air temperature, it's the cold ground beneath you. The earth drains heat relentlessly. Sleeping bags back then had padding, but nowhere near enough to stop that thermal sink. So soldiers built thick, layered beds from whatever they found. Branches, pine boughs, dry grass, leaves, bark, or anything with volume. The trick was to build depth, not just a thin layer, not a mat, a real bed. The science behind it is simple, but, pretty powerful. Every layer of foliage traps these tiny pockets of air. More pockets mean, more insulation, and more insulation means less heat is lost to the ground. Suddenly, the frozen earth becomes less of a threat, and, honestly, more of a shield. Some units reported adding 30 to 40 centimeters of material beneath them. That sounds like overkill, until, you feel how warm it actually gets. And here's the part many people miss. A thick ground bed wasn't just warmer, it stayed warm longer. Sleeping bags of the era, they flattened out during use. The ground bed didn't. It kept its loft, which meant it kept its heat-locking ability through the entire night. The method, you see, developed its own rhythm on the battlefield. Soldiers would gather materials before dusk, stacking them in layers. Dry materials always came first. Wet or slightly damp materials were used only on the lower levels, where they couldn't touch the uniform and where body heat wouldn't need to fight moisture. Then came the cover layer. Soldiers pulled branches, coats, capes, even tent canvas over themselves in a loose arch. Nothing was tightly sealed. The goal wasn't compression, it was air trapping. Keep that mini-atmosphere close enough that your body heats it, but loose enough that the air doesn't escape. And once the soldier settled in, their own heat turned that cocoon into a pocket of warmth, powerful enough to keep frostbite at bay. Modern survival tests have recreated this technique and confirmed what those soldiers knew instinctively. When done correctly, a natural ground bed can outperform mid-range sleeping bags and in some conditions rival high-end synthetic gear. And it never breaks, never runs out, never needs repair. That's why soldiers relied on it in places where carrying extra weight meant losing speed, and losing speed meant losing life. Surviving cold isn't just about where you sleep, it's about how you sleep in what you have. World War II soldiers were experts at manipulating even poor-quality winter uniforms into effective insulation. They slept with clothes on, not because it was comfortable, but because every layer helped trap heat. Wool socks, undershirts, scarves, and even spare undergarments were added to the insulation system. If they had newspapers or dry rags, they stuffed them between uniform layers to add more trapped air. One common trick was rotating socks beneath the armpits or inside the coat for an hour before sleeping. Body heat dried them. Dry socks meant warm feet. Warm feet meant better circulation. And, well, better circulation meant a dramatically higher chance of surviving sub-zero nights. None of this was glamorous, but it worked. When temperatures got brutally low, soldiers used a strategy that feels almost too simple. They slept in pairs or groups, back to back or side by side, sharing heat. This wasn't weakness, it was, strategy. Two bodies inside one insulated space generate, well, double the warmth. Soldiers knew it, experienced sergeants enforced it. Units who used shared body heat techniques had lower frostbite rates and, honestly, better readiness in morning operations. In trenches, foxholes, dugouts and bombed-out ruins, this method saved lives. Modern cold-weather survival training still includes it for one reason. It works when nothing else does. The brilliance of this World War II trick wasn't the materials, it was the mindset. Soldiers didn't wait for perfect conditions, they didn't wait for gear, they adapted the world around them. They turned leaves into insulation. They turned branches into mattresses. They turned enemy-blasted terrain into shelters better than the military could issue. This wasn't just survival, it was competence, craft, ingenuity sharpened by war. Today, outdoor experts still teach these same principles. Stop the heat loss beneath you. Trap air. Stay dry. Let your body heat do the work. Use the environment. don't fight it. It's a legacy of survival that began on frozen battlefields and, still lives in modern cold weather technique. For anyone who camps, hikes, hunts, or, simply wants to understand the raw, unfiltered survival skills of World War II, this method is gold. It reminds us that survival isn't gear-dependent, it's knowledge-dependent, and, knowledge weighs nothing. In emergencies, lost gear, damaged shelter, or an unexpected cold snap, this trick can still save a life today, just as it did 8 decades ago. The ground bed isn't just history, it's human instinct refined. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more powerful survival stories, forgotten war skills, and deep dives into the techniques that kept soldiers alive against impossible odds, make sure you subscribe to Legacy of Survival and share this video with someone who loves history as much as you do.